Let us now delve into a classic fairy tale recorded for us in the year 1858. It's a story forged in the harshest realities of life: desperation, ingenuity, and a cruelty that is, frankly, startling. This is the tale of Little Thumbling.
Our story begins with these chilling words that set the entire grim narrative in motion. And you must understand, they weren't spoken by some distant fairy tale villain, but by a father, driven to an unthinkable act by the most primal of forces: starvation.
So, what could possibly drive a parent to such a point? Well, the circumstances that lead to such a cruel resolve are, as is often the case in these old tales, brutally simple. It all begins with poverty.
We are introduced to a woodcutter and his wife, struggling under the crushing weight of raising 7 sons. The youngest of them was so small at birth he was named Little Thumbling, and because he was quiet, everyone assumed he was simple. But as we're about to discover, it is often in the quietest corners that the sharpest minds reside. For when a terrible famine strikes and his parents make their horrific decision, it is this one overlooked child who will determine all their fates.
You see, while others spoke, Little Thumbling listened. And in the dreadful silence of that night, he overheard everything. It was then that a simple, yet utterly brilliant plan began to form in his mind. While his parents slept, Thumbling slipped out to the river and filled his pockets with small white pebbles. The next day, as the family walked deeper and deeper into the forest, he quietly dropped them one by one. And so, when they were abandoned and night began to fall, those little stones glittered in the moonlight, a path back to a home that no longer wanted them. He led his terrified brothers all the way back. And for a moment, it seems as though fate has smiled upon them. Upon their return, they find a local lord has repaid an old debt of 10 crowns. There's food again, and a fleeting, joyful reunion. But 10 crowns? Well, 10 crowns don't last forever, and neither did their relief. Once the money was spent, the gnawing hunger returned, and with it that same dreadful resolve. The parents decided they would try again. Only this time, they would take the children so deep into the woods, there could be no possibility of return.
Now, you might think Thumbling would simply repeat his success, but fate is a fickle thing. This time, he found the door locked for the night. His only option was to use breadcrumbs from his meager portion. But when he and his brothers were left in the darkest part of the forest, they turned to follow the trail and found nothing. The birds, in their own desperate search for food, had eaten every last crumb. Lost and hopeless, the children spot a distant light and stumble towards it. It's a house, and when a woman answers the door, she weeps at the sight of them, delivering this terrifying warning. They've escaped the dangers of the wood, only to find themselves at the door of a monster's den.
The ogre's wife takes pity on them and hides them under a bed. But their reprieve, you see, will be tragically short-lived. The master of the house is coming home.
And then a heavy knock shakes the door. He's arrived. And the children, huddled together in the darkness beneath the bed, can do nothing but hold their breath and listen in absolute terror. His wife tries to put him off, of course, but an ogre's senses are not so easily fooled. He sniffs the air, a predator scenting his prey, and utters that famous, dreadful line. He knows they are there. And he drags them out from their hiding place, one by one. The ogre, wanting perhaps to savor his meal, agrees to wait till morning. The boys are put to bed near the ogre's own 7 daughters, who each sleep with a golden crown upon her head. But Little Thumbling's mind is always working. He knows an ogre's promise is worthless. So, in the dead of night, he orchestrates a brilliant, ghoulish deception. He swaps his brother's simple nightcaps for the daughters' golden crowns. And Thumbling was right to be afraid, because the ogre does regret his delay. He steals back into the bedroom, blade in hand. Reaching out in the dark, he feels for the soft cloth of the boys' nightcaps, and finding them on the heads of his own children, he utters these awful words before committing an unimaginable horror. While the monster sleeps, Thumbling wakes his brothers, and they flee into the night. But their escape, and indeed our story, is far from over. Come morning, the ogre discovers his ghastly error, and his rage is immense. He dons his magical 7-league boots, which can cross mountains in a single stride, and the chase is on.
He very nearly catches them, but the boots are tiring to use. He sits down to rest upon a large rock, the very rock, in fact, where the boys are hiding. And as the ogre falls into a deep sleep, Thumbling sees his chance.
Now, you might be wondering how a tiny boy could possibly wear an ogre's boots. Well, this is where the pure magic of the fairy tale comes in. You see, these are no ordinary boots. They possess a magic all their own, an ability to shrink or grow to perfectly fit whoever wears them.
So what does Thumbling do with this incredible new power? Does he run for home? Oh no. He does something far bolder. He runs straight back to the ogre's house and tells the ogress a magnificent lie. Her husband has been captured by robbers and will only be released in exchange for his entire fortune. And for proof, he shows her the boots. Recognizing them at once, the terrified woman gives him everything. And so, Little Thumbling returns to his family, not merely a survivor, but a hero laden with wealth. But this is where the old text becomes particularly interesting. It doesn't give us just one conclusion. It offers two possible endings to his tale.
So, what becomes of our hero? In one telling, he's the clever rogue. He brings the ogre's ill-gotten gold home and his family lives in comfort for the rest of their days. But there's another version, a bit more proper, shall we say. In this one, he doesn't keep the gold. Instead, he uses the boots to become a royal messenger, earning his fortune through honest service to the king. So what is he? A trickster or a public servant? The story lets you decide.
The original text leaves us with this final piece of verse, a moral, if you will. A reflection on how the child who is smallest and least regarded can, through sheer wit and courage, become the salvation of all. It's a timeless reminder that worth is not measured by stature,